What's up, everyone? This is the Tesla Beat 133. It is the day before. Oh, geez, it's Friday the 13th. Just saw that
Dang.
today. Didn't
I
even
just
know.
realized that.
And tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So if you heard it from somewhere, make sure you don't forget that tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Go to Safeway or wherever your local grocery store is and pick up the stuff for the loved one. Don't be that person that's walking in on Saturday morning when all the flowers are sold out. So if there's a special someone,
If you're the person who's walking in today, you're probably also on the verge of being sold out. So you better hurry up.
Hans, dude? I haven't walked in yet. Hopefully my wife's not
John out here
watching
trying to
this.
save folks. Hans is like, you screwed.
So I guess if you were walking in yesterday, you would have been fine. Quick shout out to Insta360. They got you covered with these Link 2C webcam cameras, super portable. I'm using one right now, and as you've seen, it's kind of been following my face it just did right there. With that said, let's get into it. All right. Number 133. Looks like the four of us are dancing on top of the moon right now, waiting for the what is that? A satellite, or it looks like almost
Yeah, it's supposed to be launching satellites. It's supposed to be a driver, but it didn't pan out the way.
Or it looks like what is it? The Prove Rock, the thing that drills for Boring Company.
That's what it looks like.
All right, so stock is down 5% year to date. Everything is down right now. So just so you know, there's been kind of a max exodus. It feels like the past couple of weeks has just been an insane roller coaster. So it's not Tesla specific. And actually, funny enough, it felt like I think it popped to like 526 yesterday, and then it dumped as everything else did. All right, Joe, I'll pass this one to you, man. What's going on with the semi?
Just so people know that the semi-truck deliveries happen this year is going down.
I thought it doesn't exist. That's what Bill Gates said.
No. What Bill Gates said, and he should know because he's a genius, is that it wasn't possible.
Can't exist.
They can't do it. But here we have, and they updated their website, so this is actually on the website. You can see that the standard range is 325 miles, and that's with a full payload of 82,000 pounds, and then the long range is 500 miles with a payload of 82,000 pounds. So, I mean, anybody who knows vehicles and rigs like this, like they're not always maxed out. So these range estimates are going to be pretty awesome when they're not even fully loaded. So that's pretty killer. Brian.
Well, I would say that if we look at the curb weight, that's been a big question a lot of us have had for ages. 20,000 to 23,000 pounds. A normal Class 8 truck weighs 15 to 25,000. 25 being the big, crew super cab kind of sleeper cabins, but the average is 17 to 18,000. So the short range truck, the standard range, is within 2,000 pounds, and you get an extra 2,000 pounds road weight allowance for it being an EV. So that means these trucks are comparable in weight. They are right in the range they need to be in order to be competitive. And when you look at the price, people, oh my gosh, 260, 240, 300. I've seen numbers around there. And the reality is we don't know the actual price. It's going to depend on you as the customer, how many you're getting, when you need them, all that. It is more expensive than a diesel truck. It is substantially less expensive than any other electric truck. There's trucks out there that are $500,000 and only have 150 miles of range. This is vastly cheaper. So it's going to be very compelling for a lot of operators.
Yeah, and then when you factor in cost of operation being significantly lower, as long as you can cover the routes that you need to cover, then that's a huge win, obviously, for any fleet operator. And then once we prove out that, yes, these in fact are safer than standard trucks because of all of the active safety features, that'll actually make a huge dent in insurance, which, if you don't know, is kind of a big deal. And that will then be just another factor that reduces that total overall cost of operation. And once this flywheel really gets going, this is going to be unstoppable. It's going to take over all of trucking.
What did you just say? I thought it's not possible.
Mercedes-Benz said the same thing. We'll buy two, one to use and one to tear down, because unless I missed the memo, physics is the same in the US as it is in Germany. Oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
Maybe you talk to the engineers. 2 kilowatts per mile was what they were targeting. If they could get to 2 kilowatts per mile, this would work. And they got to 1.7. They beat the number by 15%. So I guess we got some new physics. Kids, check it out.
Yeah.
Or maybe the engineers at Tesla just aren't lazy and burdened by 10,000 tons of German bureaucracy.
It's the light bar. They added the light bar, and so that shape.
Well, it made the truck a little lighter.
Yeah, exactly. This is, well, actually, on the next slide, if you have not seen the new design, it's at the bottom. But the one thing I wanted to call out was, I think originally, if you guys keep me honest here, the original estimates or MSRP was like 250. And now people are like, oh, it's like 290,000. It's going to kind of probably be like the Roadster, right? This is obviously going to end up probably potentially costing more. You know, and so, you know, when you look at what the average class 8 electric truck costs, you're talking $400,000. So
Yeah.
at 290,000, this is actually looking very good, right? And this
The
is
180,000 was in 2017 dollars. Inflation alone would have taken us way over 200. It is still more than the inflation adjusted price, but it's also a lot more efficient than what you were offered back then. And it's probably lighter because they've managed to use fewer batteries to get you the same range. It's a better truck. And it was also expected that all the competition would show up and be selling things that weren't $400,000. The other companies making them, and there are quite a few, really only make a handful, and that's going to keep your costs high. Stop dipping your toes, go all in, and you can actually bring the price down. That's what Tesla's doing. That's what the others will do eventually. But until they do, Tesla's got a clear advantage, and they've got an autonomy lead. These will have a driver assist. I don't know what the rules and regulations are in terms of commercial trucking, but they will have driver assist, which will make your drivers happier, make them safer, and eventually replace them entirely.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen one of the semis in person, that whole back area where there's a sleeper cab and most semis, you would think this might have been taken up by all batteries, but it is completely empty, and they can definitely expand upon the semi line if they need to do whatever they need to do in the future to make it a longer haul or whatever. People buying them can convert them to do whatever they need to do if they're towing, if they have less of a payload, you know what I mean? If they're doing half of that, then they could go for like double the miles you would think, or whatever, or at least 700 miles or whatever. So, but even as a driver, you're not even allowed to. You're only allotted so much time, right?
yeah.
So you can't even. It's like
Well,
like they can drive 1,000 miles in a day, anyways.
so Tesla has, you know, this is not a company who is, you know, vaporware, who says a bunch of things and doesn't deliver. Like, they don't release cars and you know, showcase cars and have product launches if they're not going to bring them to reality. So in this case, you know, Tesla has they've looked at who is their market, right? They've literally looked at not only who's their market, who are their target customers, and for them, you know, sleepers may not be at the top of that list, right? Now, I know that there will, depending on who these customers are in the feedback loop that they'll have, if sleepers are the biggest issue, I mean, they're already working with huge companies like PepsiCo, a lot of these logistical companies. So it really depends on if they're targeting, again, I'm making this up, 700 miles, they want one stop, or maybe they're trying to target less than that. Then that's who they're going to be. If they're going for the 80 to 85% of the market, depending on what the miles are, that's what they're going to be focused on. A sleeper may not be the thing that decides whether or not a PepsiCo buys one or not, right? So I think that's the thing to think about. Is like, oh, it doesn't have a sleeper. It's like, well, if there's room up there,
Right.
there's going to be companies that maybe only are buying 5 that make these custom ones inside. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And RIP Roadster reservation holders. But no, so I mean that's a good point. But also I talked to one of the drivers when we had an event one time. They came through and he does over 400 miles a day and doesn't have to charge, he said. And he's doing a route like I think it was something like from Sacramento, Pepsi down to down near LA, Bakersfield, something like that. So and he was doing that route like every day and so he was like, yeah, we have no problems with these vehicles and that it was a pretty he was pretty impressed with the vehicle and and they have a video with the drivers and every driver who's ever driven one is impressed. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And a lot of the the haters will have all these opinions, but it's the people who are actually doing it who have the greatest opinion and they know what they like and no there's nobody who doesn't like driving the EV trucks. So
exactly. Hans, do you want to say something, or Brian? Okay. Yeah, at least when I've talked with some drivers, I've talked with 3 or 4 different ones when they've come out of the cars. They all enjoy it. I mean, I think it's kind of one of those things where when you think of driving a truck, there's a reason why you have to have a specific license because there's a lot of, you're driving this huge, class 8 vehicle and there's a lot of restrictions and a lot of extra know-how on, towing, how to back up things and just being aware of like also too, where can you drive? Because there might be some roads you can't get on. But you step into a semi, everything is just, it takes a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks to get used to it, right? Um, to the driving style. But once you get used to it, it's hard to go back to anything else, especially when it comes to something that, trucks, these huge trucks, a lot of them are, typically on the older side. And so you don't see these companies spending these hundreds of thousands of dollars buying new fleets every single year. A lot of times they're like 10, 20 years old, maybe even older, right? So I think it's just like in the same way that you experience a Cybertruck, right? The way that the turn radius, the whole experience and vibe of it is just, it's gonna be like a step in the future when, you're really gonna feel like you're in the movie Back to the Future, right? In the 80s or something. Hans, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I guess I will add something here. I mean, everything that you just said, I would agree with, and it's true. But still just need to keep in mind that the overall driving factor behind the decision of what people are going to be buying is just purely economics. And is as long as the semi wins in total cost of ownership, it will sell at capacity. Whatever they can make, they will sell. And they'll even be able to increase the selling price on them. Whatever the capability of the safety features are, that'll be a bonus to begin with, but eventually they'll be able to make revenue on that as well because that will be saving their customers money. And yeah, so that's going to be the thing that drives, everything. Right now with the shorter range, around town delivery and the non-sleeper long range, like that does cover most of the needs of trucks, and they can sell a lot of truck just in those segments before they ever get to, having the sleepers. And yeah, that's going to be the defining, fundamentals of this story for how well Tesla Semi will be able to sell for some time. And, I'm very confident they've already hit it out of the park with their ability to provide value. It's really probably just going to come down to how many can they make and how fast.
yeah, because fleet operators do not care about bells and whistles; they care about bottom line, and so
Yeah, and the
that's
drivers
100%.
care about those things, but the people buying the trucks are somewhat insulated from that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like unless it's an owner operator who, and they're going to love this too. Not to say that they won't, but like all of those things are extras that are not necessarily the things that people are going to be making purchasing decisions off of.
It's
The
so
big thing
wild
on
because I see these. Sorry, I see these every day. Like literally, I see Tesla semis every single day, and I'm so
They
jaded.
don't exist, dude. How do you see them?
I'm so
Like,
jaded by it. I don't
just
film them like
it's
all the
not
time.
possible.
Just I see them all the time, and it's so funny because like they just become like a norm because you know what I mean like
Oh yeah.
here at the 99 and we're just like bombarded with like traffic of trucks
You're
all up
spoiled.
and down. So yeah, it's so wild that this should have been a thing like a long time ago, you would think, but here we are. But go ahead, Brian.
Well, the thing about any commercial product is you also need to figure how much downtime there's going to be. Downtime kills you. Time is money in shipping. These have less parts to go wrong. Do you know you'll probably never need to do the brakes on a Tesla Semi? They will probably last the life of the vehicle. A brake job isn't the most expensive bit of ongoing maintenance, but it's time consuming. You have to schedule it. You have to be in the right place at the right time to do it. That's a hassle. And these trucks are easy to drive, just like a Cybertruck is the easiest car you've ever driven. If you've never driven a Cybertruck, go do a test drive today. It's wonderful. And then use Hans's referral code or mine. Or I guess you can use Joe or John's too, but it's just not the same.
I've literally had one person use my referral code.
But yeah, I think Hans, you brought up a great point. I mean, ultimately, same thing with what has made the Model Y the best car. It's been obviously several factors, but not only the design, the safety, the full self-driving, but a lot of people have adopted because of the total cost of ownership, right? When you think of everything, that's why it's done well. And so now the Semi, as you said, right, that's going to be the people that are buying these. The thing that they're going to care about is the total cost of ownership.
And just a real quick expansion on that point, since you mentioned the Model Y, this recent release of the Model Y standard range all-wheel drive, like that is going to be a total cost of ownership value proposition win to the max. I think a lot of people are really going to prefer that all-wheel drive, even though the range takes a little bit of a hit. And so, yeah, between the rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive offerings, that is going to continue to just keep Model Y sales on top of the pile.
Yeah. They've really, I think, done a good job to bring the best variations. Because I think that was always the thing with the standard range Model Y, is that it was just rear-wheel drive. All right, so of course, no Cybertruck Summon. FSD 14224 was released. I've driven on it, and again, it's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. As far as like big steps forward, like it's gotten where you're seeing less and less FSD videos just because they're good. It's good enough now,
Yeah.
right? It's just so it's hard when I'm seeing like .3 to .4. The one thing I will say is hopefully the team is working on some of these the maps and the navigation. I've been seeing a lot of complaints just from some Tesla owners as well on FSD 14.
The rerouting, huh?
The rerouting, the routes, like. I mean, there's sometimes where, let's say I'm going to something basic like church, I'm disengaging twice because I don't like the route that is selected. And, I would rather take me 25% disengage, do it manually. I mean, just because the route sometimes is just poor. So either way, hopefully they can make those adjustments, but I don't know. I don't know if anyone else, Hans, have you gotten
champagne problems, bro?
I know.
Champagne problems.
The problem I had last night. Oh, go ahead, Hans.
I do have 14224 on my Model 3, and yeah, I agree that the biggest pain point right now is all just navigation data. Like the thing knows how to drive great, but there are definite quirks in the way that navigation works now, and what I'm suspecting is, they're trying to give more and more control over routing to neural nets. And so as we're migrating from how they have done it in the past, we've been on this very long process of software 1.0 code getting transferred over to software 2.0 code, which is these end-to-end neural networks. And now that is actually beginning to eat into navigation data. And so at the interface, like navigation data is software 1.0 code. And now as we're, making this transition, And so it's going to be messy and bumpy for a little while, but eventually they'll get that figured out. And once it is, then it'll navigate better than human, just like it drives better than human already.
Mm-hmm. The problem I had last night was, for some reason, in a 55-mile-an-hour zone, chill would do 55-ish, like 56 on the dot, which was very much upsetting all the cars behind me. And then standard wanted to go 72. So that's almost, that might be arrestable in the state I'm in. Yeah, I was so for like a mile and a half, I had to drive like a human. Ugh,
Why would you do that?
The struggle.
terrible.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've experienced the same issues as well. It's like, okay, it's kind of that weird in between place. Even, usually for mine, it's hurry that will go way too fast. Like it'll do 15 or more over. I'm like, no, that's not what hurry is supposed to be. I'm sorry. And so then, you have to go down to standard or chill. And when you do, then it'll want to go too slow. And so you have to either, like, I can let it drive, but I have to hold the accelerator pedal to maintain speed. And it's weird. And the screen flashes blue at you. It is kind of awkward right now.
That was my solution until traffic got thick enough that it could just pace the other cars.
Nice.
Yeah, for me, without sharing my address, which has happened before, but the way, like, for me, so what's happening right now with mine, and it's been really frustrating because it's like literally like not even the last mile, it's like the last 10th of mile. Either way, I'm backed up.
But what's the address?
Exactly. I'm backed up to a road. I'll put it this way. And so it's taking me on that road that I'm backed up to and wants to park there. And it never did this. It used to just go around, right? And so what's happening is it's like going, and then it'll be like, okay, well, clearly I can't turn into a rail. So it'll go, but then it'll do a U-turn trying to go back to that spot. So, and then I did post a tweet the other day, a post, and just like, hey, is anyone, and everyone is saying the things that you guys are saying. It's like, so, and it's kind of weird. It's like, I'm shocked, like that the navigation has regressed so much when the actual software has been great. So, I don't know. I would just say it's like,
I think Franz has hit it on the head though. I think it's got to be something with the neural nets are now doing the navigation as opposed to how it used to route.
And the other thing is too, is that we all have the locations we go to. So we've kind of memorized the routes that it'll take. So when it doesn't take those, you're like, that's weird. And then it'll give you some selections, but sometimes those 3 selections won't even be the route that you want to go on. So, but again, first world problems.
Yeah. And just remember that the consumer FSD supervised stack is kind of second tier priority for Tesla right now. They're really focused on robotaxi. So they're making sure whatever this is that they're working on works for robotaxi most and best. And then they're working on our stuff, kind of after that. And so, I don't know what the timeline is going to be to get all this stuff fixed. So if you're a Tesla shareholder, be assured that your best interests are being looked after. If you are a Tesla FSD supervised owner, they'll get to you soon, just not quite as soon.
Yeah, I think you did say it right. The good thing is that
these software guys, they don't care about us. Freaking Hans. He sides with them.
But now I think it's exactly as you said, right? Because I think for us, when we went, when you were part of, I think the first 12 invites or whatever back in June, when you went out, and when we went out, it's like you saw the software. Oh wow, they've already created this. This is already possible. I saw emergency vehicles going by. I was like, wow, this is already possible. It can pull over. So when you see all of that, it's like it's just a matter of them rolling it out to the consumer, the private consumers, right? So it's just a matter of time. But yeah, right now the focus is getting the robotaxi. Even as an investor, I get where it's coming from, and knowing Tesla, that's exactly how they're viewing it at this point. All right, Joe, this one's to you.
Model Y achieves 5-star safety rating by the NISTA. So yeah, this is for anybody who doesn't know, like Teslas are safer than Volvos, man. And I don't think they get a this doesn't really become like more of a thing that people talk about, the safety ratings that Tesla gets. I mean, this is across the globe. Like this isn't just something they do here in America. I mean, this is like globally they are the safest vehicle in the world. So it's just another tip in a hat, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy that they're just able to just do this. They put safety above everything and they do it in a body of work that just is still outselling everything. Sometimes these safety vehicles are not cool looking. They're not as I mean, but you know what I mean? The Model Y is best selling in the world and it looks cool and it's safe. It's pretty awesome.
There are different ways to look at safety. One is you could, if this hadn't back at 5 stars, I think we'd all be surprised. But if you look at the actual report, it's 5 stars in every single category. And one thing, whether it's NHTSA or Euro NCAP, one of the things they love to do is from time to time just add a whole new category of testing. And it is very common when the new tests come out that almost all cars will have abysmal ratings because they were only studying for the test rather than actually trying to learn. Tesla, on the other hand, does very well on new tests because they test for the world in which we live. The second thing on safety is if you look at the death rate per 100,000 miles per million miles, Tesla is quite high on that list because there are people who really want to go 150 miles an hour. Please don't go 150 miles an hour. If you're going to do that, your odds of dying go up very, very sharply. But if you are going to do that, I'd still say you probably want to do it in a Tesla because then your odds, at least, of surviving go back up again. So it is not there was a time when Camaro had the highest death rate of any car. Was it because the V8 was more powerful than the one they were putting in the station wagon? No, it's just because IROC heads were driving it. So gotta look at all the factors.
Yeah, I remember in high school, like the safest car to drive was the Volvo station wagon. And I had buddies who
Gotta love those
literally
old 240s.
yeah, exactly. I literally had buddies who bought the car because they wanted to just do dumb stuff in it. And I probably shouldn't what is it? I don't even know if he would see this, but shout out to Ahmed, dude. That guy rolled the thing 3 or 4 times and everybody in the car was still safe. Like, I mean, you're talking again. So it was like the car. So I think everyone knew like the Toyota and the Hondas. Those are like the best maintenance. But the safest car that you're gonna survive in if you get hit was the Volvo station wagon. So now Tesla, as Brian has said and gave more clarity on, a lot of times these cars will get like 3 4 stars and then 5 stars in one category, and then they'll highlight that, oh, here's like X, we got a 5 star rating. But the thing is with Tesla, they have become the standard for vehicle safety. And they have again gotten, as Brian said, they got a 5 star in every category. Like, and I think that's again, this is the type of stuff that I wish Tesla does their best to notify people, but this is what more and more people need to know about, right? And the full self-driving. But again, that's a different rant for a different day. But these are the safest cars, and if you can get into one, you're gonna know that if something crazy happens, that you're gonna have the best opportunity for your vehicle to look out for you as far as like how it's built than any other car on the road. All right. SpaceX is exempt from drama. It looks like Sawyer posted the U.S. Labor Board is abandoning a years-long legal battle against SpaceX's and signaling it will steer steer clear of future cases against the company. So, so it looks like U.S. decides SpaceX is like an airline, exempting it from Relations Act. So just another win in the Musk world to just literally like take it, stick it in his back pocket as they continue to win. Because as we know, for a while, especially the previous administration, they had pretty much every, I think, department, federal department suing one of Elon's companies. So, but a lot of this stuff is kind of like clearing out in a lot of ways. I mean, this is stuff that I didn't even know was going on, but yeah, just another dub for Elon. All right, Joe, let's jump back into the Tesla world. You're muted, dude. Robot Commander.
The Cybercab is ready to run. These are pretty cool shots by Joe Tetmeyer. He actually has a video of the Cybercab. Looks like it's doing a route for when it gets offline or whatever. But it's pretty cool. You can tell things are happening the more you see the Cybercab, like we did when the Model Y was being spotted everywhere. Brian, what do you think is a timeline from this to production?
Production's kind of, they've got all the people hired they need. They're still hiring some more. Production's not going to be the bottleneck, and that's wonderful. It's going to be a logistics bottleneck for deployment. So what they'll probably end up doing is a little burst, dial it in, and then repeat, so that as they need to, the machine can go faster and faster. And the beauty is what we've seen. I had a conversation with someone the other day. They were asking about the Model 3 production hell. Why did it take so long? Did they try and get rid of all the people? Yes. And there's a lot of things that you can't remove the people for. Examples would be insulation. You need human paws to do that. Fishing wire through little parts of the dash or whatever. So they couldn't do it. They couldn't automate the way they wanted to because the car was still built to be assembled by humans, and you're just trying to put a robot into a human role. So with the Cybercab, they've stepped all the way back to zero and said, how do we make it so that we don't need humans at any point? And that's the unboxed method. That's all of the modularity that we've seen. It's just smart engineering is what it is. So where are we at in terms of that? If they were ready to go on the ground tomorrow, they'd probably crank out 40, 50, maybe 100 or 200 vehicles and then stop, reconfigure the line a bit, dial it in, and they would repeat that cycle as needed. And each burst would be faster and produce more vehicles than the one before it.
Yeah. To kind of go off that, what I found out, well, actually, I think it was a couple nights ago. Did you guys see the Omar post, Homar's, where he posted a video of, it was like 20 Cybercabs just literally that were all like lined up. So with that said, I mean, the issue is not going to be the production line. The issue will be how many does it make sense to get on the road and where, right? And as Brian was saying too, the other thing to think about is as they're iterating on this, they're going to assign engineers to each problem that they see, and then they're going to go and essentially delete those problems. And it's going to happen fast, especially if it becomes possible, I don't know, maybe at a state level potentially, where they're like, oh, this state or this area can, you can release a bunch to, they're gonna want to just, they'll probably do a slow rollout, but once they can ramp and hit those, once they can hit the volume numbers in those cities, they're gonna be, I would assume, especially if they're unsupervised, they're all gonna be just completely, they're going to release as many as they can. All right, Joe, this one's to you.
Yeah, this was really cool all hands that they did for XAI. Anybody who's invested in Tesla is now invested in XAI, which is a part of SpaceX. So here we are. So yeah, they had some dominant numbers, but one of the really cool ones that stood out to me was the use of the platform. I think it was like, oh, there it is, from 0 to 6 months, 6 billion images generated in the last 30 days. And Google had just reported that they had 50 million or something like that. So they were like just eclipsing Google at their image rates. Like it just what XAI is doing is pretty it's pretty incredible, and all the levels of compute they have and what they have planned for the future. And that all hands meeting was just like, hey, we're working our butts off. We could sure use some help. Like they are crushing it. And the live feed of the guys in what state is it in? Where they went back or whatever. They showed those guys working in down south or whatever, and I thought that was like really cool to see them like
I haven't got to watch this yet, but the location that the servers are in is Memphis, Tennessee right now, and then there's I think some more, they're building out power capacity over in Missouri just across the state line. So yeah, I didn't know if that's where they were.
And the Tennessee Valley
the guys
Authority
actually in Memphis were live on the video. It was really cool. And you could tell they love what they do. And he was like, yeah, we did this in like weeks. Every 6 weeks we're just cranking these out. It was wild.
Yeah.
And the TVA just approved a deal with them to provide 300 megawatts of power. So XAI can pull up to 300 megawatts, which for reference is kind of a city's worth of juice. So it's great because I think the reason XAI makes so many images is because it takes 10 tries to get what you want. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It is not my favorite for images though. If you look at one of the reasons the merger could go so quickly was because the overlap of investors between XAI and SpaceX is probably not a completely perfect circle, but the overlap is certainly huge. And so that those people are all going to be in favor of it. When it comes to the smaller shareholders, I do know someone who has an amount of shares in SpaceX that he calls small but life-changing. And I said, well, ooh, then you have opinions on the XAI merger. He's like, yep, love it. All in favor. Let's do it. So that was, from people who are actual stakeholders. They're excited too. They can see something that the haters can't. But that's how you make the big money, is by being able to see things others can't.
Yeah. Hans, were you going to say something?
Facts on facts.
I 100% agree. And if you watch the war going on right now between Dario Amodei at Anthropic and Sam Altman at OpenAI, there's a lot happening right now at the frontier. The new models that they both released, 4.6 Opus for Anthropic and then the 5.3 Codex for OpenAI, are excellent models. And I'm really excited to see what XAI comes out with here in the not too distant future with, an actual full release of Grok 4.2 and then shortly, hopefully, a follow up with Grok 5. It takes a lot to stay at the bleeding edge of this game, but the core of everything really comes back to how much compute do you have access to, how much energy do you have to run that compute. And that's the thing that XAI has really been focusing on. This merger with SpaceX helps them to stay in that game. And while their models may be a little bit behind still, their ability to run, the most inference, the most training, and have access to the most energy, the investors in those companies understand that that's where the advantage is going to be won or lost, and that XAI definitely has pole position there. When it comes to any of the startup companies, there obviously are a lot of resources at Google as well, and so I think this is still going to end up being a 2-horse race between Google and XAI over the long run. And that's why there is this, this overlap in investors who they care about SpaceX, they care about XAI. They know that the combined entity of XAI and SpaceX will be able to outcompete other companies on that energy and compute front over the long term. And, could there be a more exciting investment opportunity than basically unlimited artificial intelligence that has the potential to scale to entire solar systems and or beyond?
Yeah, no, you should really watch. I'm looking forward to seeing your take after you watch it, because I'm sure you will get more from it than I did. But I mean, for me as a layman, it was like, I was like, holy cow, man! Like, and like Brian, I think I would use Chat and probably Gemini more uh before, but even with the last update, like I've been using like Grok a lot more for images, and I usually do this thing where I do the same prompt across all, just to see which one is better. And lately, for the past 2 weeks anyways, Grok has been like killing it.
I
Yeah,
use Grok in the car constantly because I've got questions, man. I've got what was that thing I was thinking? And it's
Yeah.
great to have a little mini genius with me. Uh, it's yeah, it you can if something is tickling at the back of your brain, you can just ask, and it's fascinating.
I think it's cool. John had posted a video on Instagram. I don't know if you did it on X, John, but that you had reposted that guy in Spanish talking to Grok, and it's just cool to see Grok like answer all these things or do all these things like in multiple languages. Is really
yeah.
cool.
Hans, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I've been working on getting OpenClaw up and running and set up. And
Yeah,
so
people love that.
it's quite the experience so far. I've been using Opus 4.6. It's the only thing that I have hooked up, and I need to figure out once I've got I was trying to maximize the potential of security. OpenClaw's kind of a security nightmare. And so trying to, limit my risks from that standpoint has made getting it set up and working well an extra slog compared to a lot of the people who are, just buy a Mac Mini and go to town, give it access to your, all your personal information and your accounts and everything. But yeah, once I get it running and stable, I want to try adding Grok to the mix. And I'm curious to see if there's a way that I can actually be able to interact with Grok in the car and have the context from those conversations actually get pulled into something like an OpenClaw instance. But yeah, figuring out how to do that and not open up tons of security vulnerabilities is going to take some effort.
Yeah. You guys can definitely chime in, because I think I may just have, I'm not sure if I'm going to have like a view that is going to be like a general view, but I think my thought is that, there's this huge chase for who's the fastest, right? It's almost like, who's got the fastest car, right? We're racing for pink slips, who can beat who, and you just kind of, but it's like it changes every month, right? And sometimes on the daily. But the thing is though, and that's the crazy thing, is you're seeing also too some of these where there's actually it kind of feels like, I don't want to call some of these AI companies like some of the EV brands that we've seen that have kind of poked their head out and they're just kind of vaporware, because it's just, I think it's going to come down to, as like Hans was saying, right? It's going to come down to like long term, right? The compute power, the use cases, and ultimately, in my opinion, it's going to come down to, as well as, how are these AIs going to link to hardware? Because you could have the fastest AI, but it's just like, I think the monetization moment is going to be, linking it to some type of hardware, whether it's going to be a phone, humanoid robot, these solar, satellites that go to space. And those are going to be the things that matter. I do know, like, Amazon has had 30,000 people that they've laid off in the past 4 months, and the rumor behind the scenes is that they need that capital for compute power for GPUs. It's not because they're trying to reinvest, pull back on spend. They need money that they can invest for AWS to reaccelerate their growth there. So again, that's the rumor. So I think it's not like, that's why I think in this case, typically, Elon's the one at the bleeding edge of all this stuff. But first off, Elon literally started probably, or was involved in multiple ways on some of the two or three leaders, right? Like whether it's DeepSeek or OpenAI. I mean, so I think in this
Yeah.
case, he's playing for the first time probably he's playing catch up, and they're running at an insane rate. So even being in the conversation, because I think I posted something, they just passed, I think it's deep search or deep seek, whatever it was. They became like the third overall like AI chat bot that's being used. So the fact that they're in the conversation is crazy. But they don't need to be the first to win the race in this case. They're doing things, they're building the engine and foundation in a way unlike any other company with compute power, and they've also figured out that magic, and they can rinse and repeat now. They can find another city and go build another colossus or something, right?
Right.
And that's the thing that I think is going to win the race, is going to be innovation, compute power, and use case. Those are the things that kind of just came to top of mind.
Well, I think with the Mac Harder and H300s, I think that's the goal. Is what they have planned is going to be like, it's just staggering what they've been able to accomplish in 2 years. And you look at some of these companies like DeepSeek and others that have been around for over a decade. You know what I mean? These aren't like new companies that he's catching up to. And then, like you said, it doesn't matter. He doesn't have to win, but it's still impressive to see what AI is able to do and where it's headed. And yeah, there's these pain points of, you're gonna, like, yeah, that age of abundance will come, but you're gonna have these pain points where right now that transition is gonna be hard. And you're seeing it where people are getting laid off. I mean, like all the time, like people are just getting laid off because AI is doing this, and they have yet to figure out how to how to do something else. You know what I mean? Like, this is that point where there were so many horses that were being laid to pasture, and the cars were just coming, and nobody thought, well, what about equestrians, and what about, you know what I mean? Like, there's just going to be a really big pain point right now for the transition.
Agreed. All right. So what do we got here? All right. It's over for the down under. So North America, if you have a Valentine, it's probably good that you buy FSD for them one-time purchase. I don't know. That's not financial advice. I've actually been debating it for me, but just I think right now it does not make financial sense, especially the $8,000. I'd rather put that in and invest it in places like Tesla, for example. But with that said, if you live down under, it looks like you have until the end of March. And, here in the United States and North America, it's February 14th. So, and I believe you can use referral codes for this stuff. So just make sure to, or maybe that's more of the subscription. You can gift the subscription. So make sure, get some people, get butts and seats on this stuff. If you know some Tesla owners that don't have it, it's a great experience. But if you were looking to one-time purchase, I believe it's about $8,000. And it's $100 subscription, but that could go up as this stuff becomes even better. So we will see how that all works. All right, Joe.
Yeah, I thought this is pretty cool.
I thought Tesla was losing, dude.
No, Tesla's a shell of itself. But the Model Y ranked as California's best-selling new vehicle in 2025 for the fourth consecutive year. 110,120 units registrations, and second place was the RAV4 with 65,000 units. The crazy thing about this is that sales numbers are declining for across the board, not just EVs, but they're declining overall, and Tesla's still winning in the losing race. It's like people are not buying, but the ones who are, they're choosing Tesla. So it is what it is.
Nope. Yeah, nobody buys Teslas anymore. They're too popular. You go to the showroom, no one's going to buy them because they're so busy all day delivering cars. It's over.
It's the CEO. Nobody wants them because of the CEO.
Well, I mean, you can make any kind of joke you want, but it's a joke anyhow you slice it. The cars are very popular. People say, oh my gosh, don't you get hate driving a Tesla? I'm like, well, in our family, we have a 3 and a Y. They're invisible. They're so common, even in my little red town, that they're everywhere, and they're great cars. I mean, there's only, if you want to a better car. I'm not sure what single aspect you're looking for, but there's nothing that can beat a Tesla on more than one category. You can get a car that's a little faster, or that has a little more range, or that has nicer seats, or I don't know, whatever it is that I want one in champagne purple. Great, you can get that. Porsche will sell that to you gladly, but the paint upgrade alone is going to cost more than a secondhand Tesla. So I don't know. It's all about priorities. These cars are fairly popular, and there's still some room to grow.
I think at the end of the day, people are going to be convinced. There definitely are going to be and have been. Like I literally know people that have been like, okay, I'm gonna use my purchasing power and make a decision. They go and sell their thing so that someone else can go and buy it secondhand at a good price. But at the end of the day, it's like, and they bought something, but that is going to be a sliver of it that are just like gonna go and say, I'm making a statement here. But then at the end of the day, there's going to be people like, all right, I'm not a fan of what Elon's doing, but if I'm going to get another car, there's nothing that drives itself right now. There's nothing that has the safety ratings. There's nothing that has smart summon, and the list kind of goes on, right? And total cost of ownership as well. So just to see this here in California after the insane year, I mean, I have whiplash of what I remember happening. I mean, cars were, I think they weren't at the peak, but you started seeing cars getting burnt down. I remember being on every freaking news station just talking about ownership, owners, and sentiment. And here in California, where it runs deep blue, and as a majority, it's the number one best-selling car. So it's just like, even with all that stuff, and again, there were definitely people who sold their cars and didn't buy another one, but people are gonna go with, again, the best vehicle at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think, because the internet is the internet, it can seem like the number of people who make purchasing decisions based on who the CEO of a company is and what they believe and what they say and, what the latest news stories are. I think the reality of the situation is that the percentage of people who make their purchasing decisions based on that criteria is very, 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 very vanishingly small. And most people just buy the car that they want because it's the one that they want, because it does the things that they want. And that's why, the internet says this should not be a thing, but it's a thing because that's how the world actually works.
There's no place I've seen that hates Elon more than Reddit. And a couple years ago when Tesla had the $5,000 price cuts, the sentiment on Reddit was, man, I hate the guy, but these prices, I might get one. Everyone has a price. Apparently that price for them was $5,000.
Even our boy Fred Lambert bought a new one too. Shout out to him for selling his stock. Thank you. I'm sure.
Hey, if that's not a milestone or a catalyst, I don't know what is.
Exactly.
It is very bullish now that you mention it, because if someone hates the company so much, but says, well, look, I've got like $6,000 in credits at that price. Yeah, I'll take 12% off the price of a new car. My gosh, I'd be crazy not to. No, Fred, you're just crazy.
You're exactly right. Everyone at the end of the day has a price. It's same as it's like watching Beast Games. If you've been watching that, everyone has, when no one's looking, $1 million and sitting on pile of cash. What are you gonna do?
I have been watching.
Exactly. It's been pretty good. All right, Joe, what's the Tesla beat?
The upbeat.
Tesla upbeat.
Yes. Yeah, the upbeat is a rapid fire speed section that we have where we're going to give our guests a limited time or just quick to do about what they see. Let's get into it.
All right, Hans, Rivian Q4 numbers.
Let's pass that one to somebody else. Brian, if Brian wants to take it.
I haven't really looked. They were strong. Rivian's about to drop the R2. Early reviews look good, but they only brought in influencers. If you're not going to invite Kyle Connor, you're not being serious. If they're able to move this at a profit, then this is a whole new chapter for Rivian. They will escape the death spiral and have a chance moving forward. I'm excited.
Yeah, I would say too, the fact that they've gotten to a gross positive, that's not negative. Obviously, they still have a net loss, but they are. I'll give a tip to the hat. I mean, they're making some good headway on the negative losses per vehicle, right? So that's huge, and I do think that the R2 is going to open up a huge segment for them. I think all the best as they head into that. But I know it's a bummer to see the X go away, because I think that there is whether it's the YL, or potentially more of like a bigger size vehicle, that's going to be something that is going to be given to other EV companies, at least in that segment.
Well, that and France doesn't really design these boxy looking things that America seems to really fawn over. So
Yeah.
I mean, it would be what it is anyways.
A
Dude,
Unless
that's
they
comment
do
I saw
something with the Cybertruck.
was why do they still have those goofy headlights? And I said, not only is it their trademark, but if you get rid of the goofy headlights, you have no idea what you're even looking at here. That's the only thing Rivian about it.
exactly. All right, Hans, this one's back to you again. Tesla at Toronto Auto Show.
It's yeah. I mean, Canadians need Teslas too. Even Fred. Maybe that's where Fred got his car.
Yeah, probably, man. He probably's picking it up right now.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I will be at
Joe.
the Oregon Auto Show next week, and last year Tesla had quite a few cars on display,
Oh,
including
nice.
a Cybercab. So that's auto show appearances seems to be something they're doing now.
Yes, and that's a good thing, right? I think they need to be out there doing stuff. Joe, Faraday Future Cringe Bot.
Yeah, this didn't go over well. It it was like, oh man, Faraday Future has a road. No, they don't. They they white labeled they white labeled a Chinese bot. It was like, look what we're doing, and then they had Greta Thunberg out there doing a robot next to it. It was like, yeah, no, it was pretty bad, but I mean, kudos to Faraday, man. They're not, they don't take nothing laying down. They're still trying to fight. So, I mean,
Sounds good. Well, we are hitting the top of the hour. Brian, can you just tell us where can people find you next weekend?
Oh yeah, so next weekend I'm going to be at the in Portland at the Oregon International Auto Show. If you're in the area, come on by. Friday and Saturday morning, I'll be manning the booth in Electric Avenue where we answer questions, all kinds of them. And I'm scheduled for 2 to 4 hours. Who knows? I'll stay as long as it makes sense to do so. It's a lot of fun, and it's one of the more affordable auto shows because it's not very big.
Fair enough. With that said, make sure you patronize these wonderful hosts. They spend an hour of their week. Joe, don't follow him because he's the robot commander. But give a quick follow to their handles and their YouTube channels. They deep dive into some amazing Tesla news, AI, supply chain, and coverage really across multiple multiple of Elon Musk's companies. So definitely something to check out. And we will catch you guys all next week. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next Friday.